And welcome back to episode 9 of Division Therapy. We are almost done with April. I guess today is the last day of
Last
April. So,
day.
yeah, so the first full month of the season is in the books. And, we're excited to kind of talk about the interesting storylines and kind of interesting trends that we've seen in the NL East from the first month of the season. You know what I mean? So,
Totally different than what I expected. Just right off the
yeah,
bat,
yeah.
I mean, who would have thought that the Mets would be in last, not only last place, but the worst team in baseball? And that the
Mhm.
Phillies would be right next to them as one of the worst teams in baseball. Like it's just the season, the way that it has kicked off has been absolutely crazy. Let's
And the
just
Marlins, and that the Marlins would be pacing pretty much the
yeah.
rest of the field that is obviously not the Atlanta Braves, and that we would be talking about the Marlins winning a series against the Dodgers.
Unbelievable.
Amazing
Unbelievable.
stuff. I'm so excited to talk about that series later. I will say, and we'll get into it, but man, that Dodgers offense was struggling. But it's been a really interesting first month, and we got a lot to talk about. So let's get started with your Mets. That's kind of how we're
Yeah, let's
going
do it.
into things. So
Let's
let's
do it.
let's start. Yeah, absolutely. So take me through it. Take me through it.
All right, so you're taking on the Washington Nationals to close out the homestand that you should have had at least a winning record for. Unfortunately, they lost the series to the Nats. Game 1 was awesome.
Yeah.
8-0 Mets. Everyone snapped out of whatever offensive slump they were in. Soto had he was just huge offensively. Clay Holmes, who has been their ace tier level
Yeah.
guy, because
Hmm.
Nolan McLean is just sick, but Clay Holmes
Right.
has been really, really good. Like I thought that I would expect like a sub 4 ERA and maybe he'll have an injured list appearance at one point, but no, the guy is just like dominating right now.
Yeah.
And so for one game I was like, okay, maybe this offense is finding their rhythm a little bit. Soto's back. Um, Not the case. Not the
No.
case because yesterday they lost 14 to 2. 14 to 2.
Yeah.
It I want to say it was close for a little bit. It wasn't. I mean,
Yeah, it
they
wasn't
literally
really. Yeah.
they the combination of David Peterson and Sean Manaea should never be on an MLB mound again.
Yes.
Honestly, like they have rough. 14
God,
runs on 15 hits.
14 runs,
And at some point,
oh
when the
my
game gets
God.
out of hand and you're throwing Carl Edwards Jr. in there, you're expecting them to score, a few runs here and there. But you cannot have David Peterson in the rotation anymore. I'm sorry, you just can't. They skipped him one time and then they were like, "Oh, well, he's good. We're gonna put him right back in there," and they did. And it's the same old crap, dude. I would honestly rather see Tobias Myers get a shot
Yep.
in the rotation. I would rather see maybe Tong get called up. Like I would rather see
Mhm.
one of their young guys than David Peterson, who they should have traded in the offseason, if we're being so honest. Like he is just you just know what you're getting with him. You know that he's not going to go 6 innings. He'll get close to it. He's going to walk a lot of guys. He's a ground ball pitcher. He's not going to miss a lot of bats, and that's just not a winning formula for a good starting pitcher. Even with the supposed good defense that the Mets have, and so yeah, this game was really rough. Brady House hit a grand slam.
Yep.
I will say Soto hit another home run, so back-to-back nights for Soto with a home run. He is just like he's their entire offense right
Yep.
now, and it's crazy because pitchers are pitching around him to face anybody else in the lineup because yeah, why would you not?
Yep.
Like this lineup looks so awful. I mean, some of the like MJ Melendez, who's actually been quite good this year, but MJ Melendez as your three hitter is like for a $350 million team is actually insane
Yeah.
in the first month of the season.
Hmm.
Like the hits just keep on coming. Lindor, Roberts on the IL, Polanco. I mean, it's just like everything that David Stearns has done has turned to crap. And I am a huge David Stearns fan. Huge. I was defending this guy all offseason to my friends and fellow Mets fans who hated breaking up the core and wanted to run it back with, maybe another pitcher added. And I was like, no, we need fresh blood. You need something different. You need, I can't tell you how many times I've seen this core four, the fabulous four that Steve Cohen likes to call them, do the same thing.
And speaking of this rotation, I just got a chance and I was looking at these top 30 prospects. Was it Jack Wenninger?
Jack Wenninger, yeah. I mean, I don't think he's particularly ready yet.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think he's ready yet. I think you're more likely, like, they gave a shot to Christian Scott, who's starting in Anaheim next series out, and I think they'd give a shot to Tong, who has had some experience in the MLB. I don't think Wenninger is there yet.
Okay,
but honestly, like, nothing else is working. So, yeah, and then we'll move to today's game, which was just, I want to say it's a heartbreaker, but when you know the expectation, when you know the outcome that's going to happen, it's not really a heartbreaker. Like, MJ Melendez.
But that Abrams home run, listen, man, that was a great swing. It was a great.
It was a bad pitch, though. It was over the plate.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm like, you still got to put a swing on it.
Sure.
Yeah, but
it's just one of the best players in baseball right now, CJ Abrams. Like, it's just it was a frustrating game all around. Freddie Peralta once again, pitched 6 innings. He can't get into the 7th inning. Like, that's this guy's issue. Like, this
and
guy
generational defensive performance from James Wood as well.
Right. Well, yes, we'll get to that. Trust. We'll get to that. But no, Freddie Peralta, like, come back to him in the 2nd inning, and he just spikes the ball to first base, and the guy scores from first base, and then the guy who hit it is on 3rd base. It's just like, you can't preach run prevention and then do that. And the offense was pretty much quiet the entire day, except MJ Melendez had a huge 3-run homer, which, you thought might have been enough, but no, the 8th inning comes around, and Luke Weaver, who has been, up and down so far this year, I'll say, he gave up a 2-run tater to CJ Abrams, like you talked about. And honestly, like, I'm calling for Mendoza's head, because there just needs to be a change. But what's the guy supposed to do? Like, that is his 8th inning guy. He's supposed to be able to trust Weaver, and he can't. And so, at one point, it's just like, you just throw your hands up in the air and you say, what is going on?
What are you going to do?
But yeah, like, there's fundamental errors with the Mets. Like, you are down a run in the 9th inning. Simeon, you have worked the count 2-0. Why are you swinging at ball 3 to ground out to 3rd? Like, take a pitch, work the at-bat, work the count, make this guy throw some pitches. And then Ronnie Mauricio, I've said it for 2 years in a row now. Like, he can't hit the breaking ball. Why would you give him a fastball ever? Why would you ever give this guy a fastball? He cannot hit the breaking ball. It's been a problem. It's a problem across the Mets, entire team, that they really cannot hit the breaking ball. And yeah, like you alluded to already, Soto just absolutely robbed of a home run. James Wood, it was gone. I mean, it was gone. He brought it back.
And honestly, the most lazy robbery as well. You just like kind of see him just walking over to the wall, and you kind of just think, oh, it's going to be, a courtesy jump and whatever. No, he just kind of went up there and grabbed it. And I'm like, listen, he's a tall guy, so it makes sense that he can get up there. But yeah, man, I saw that highlight and I was like, damn, dude, that sucks.
That happened. He made another great catch in right field today. And then I thought Soto got a home run to tie it. It ended up just being a double. And at that point, Soto's on 2nd. And I know you don't want to take Soto out of the game in the 8th inning just because, what if he gets an at bat in the extras? But bro, you got to pinch run Tyrone Taylor there. Like, Soto is not 100%. Like, he should have been on 3rd base if we're being honest.
Yeah.
And then Mendoza pinch hits Beatty. I mean, pinch hits for Beatty. Pinch hits Tyrone Taylor for. I couldn't believe it. And then he pinch hits Slater for MJ Melendez, which, like, no, MJ Melendez has been your hottest hitter. Like, I don't care that Austin Slater is a lefty killer and he's supposed to hit lefties. Like play the hot hand. You know what I mean? Like, you have no feel for the game. And when you have no feel for the game, you make decisions like that. And that's why people are calling for his head. And, I saw a tweet from Joel Sherman, and I agree with it. And it's like either fire Mendoza or like have Cohen and Stearns have a press conference and publicly back him and say that he has time on the job. Because it's honestly like the game is tough to watch because they are just like panning to Mendoza every time something goes wrong, and he knows it. Like he knows that it's not going well and that his job is on the line. And it's just like, I don't necessarily feel bad for the guy because even if he gets fired, he's going to get a pretty good paycheck, out of being fired like Alex Cora is. But yeah, something's got to change right now
because like if they have decided, season over, whatever, 10-21, like we're just gonna move on, we're just gonna focus, maybe rest a couple guys significantly more, or just kind of ride it out to obviously be big sellers at the deadline. Say, hey,
right.
Mendoza's gonna run it out and we'll reevaluate in the winter, you know what I mean? And obviously we have a very tumultuous, potentially very crazy winter coming up where are we going to see a lockout? What is the MLB season going to look like next year? You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just like, I think at this point, like they need to come out and say that, because for the players, especially Sedman and the other guys, I feel like they're going up there scared. You know what I mean? They're going up there.
Everyone's trying to do too much.
Not competitive at bats. They're scared to strike out. They're scared to make a mistake because it's just like they don't want to fall even further back. Like they're so desperate. And I feel like there is like a certain level of desperation that can be good in baseball. You know what I mean? Obviously, you want to succeed, but when you're so far back and just getting one hit can kind of, it almost can feel like a drug, you know what I mean? Like
you gotta play. I mean, you gotta play loose. Like they're not playing loose at all. Like they're so worried about doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
That it's just it's honestly it's tough to watch. And yeah, I don't know what the rest of the season looks like. I mean, to say that the season is over is crazy because it's not even the end of April, but it might be. And then it's like, what do you do? Do you trade Bichette? Do you trade Peralta? Do you let Lindor just like rest up for next year if there is a next year? Because it's not a good time to be a Mets fan. But I will say Luke Weaver, in his post game interview, because obviously I said he gave up the home run to Abrams. I thought he gave a really candid response. He said that he said just stuff that like no one else has said. Like Mendoza and all the other guys have just been like, we're talented, we're gonna turn it around, we have to, we'll work it out. He was like, it's really like, it sucks, like we're frustrated, like he was very transparent in a way that I think he always is. Like he's just always fun to have the mic on him. But yeah, so it's not looking good, but we'll see. They go out west for a road trip, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But let's dive into your team. The first place by a wide margin, Atlanta Braves.
By quite a margin, yeah. I'm like, we haven't seen this level of margin apparently since 2014. So it's been a while since we've seen kind of the NL East look the way it has, you know what I mean? And it has just been some really, really good baseball. Game one, Perez has just been such an awesome pickup. It's just like so underrated. I'm like, he has a .99 whip, a 2.2 ERA.
Martin Perez?
Yeah, Martin Perez, dude.
I feel like he's a DFA candidate again.
No. He's gone 5 innings again. .99 whip, 2.2 ERA.
Yeah, but who do you get rid of when Strider's back?
I'm like, I honestly can potentially see, it looks like J.R. Ritchie is going to get the start, and I'll talk about J.R. Ritchie in a second, but get the start in Seattle, you know what I mean? But I would not be surprised if Martin Perez goes to the bullpen, and then we DFA Jose Suarez.
Got it.
Because I'm like, Jose Suarez has truly, I'm like, the dude is just fat, ugly, and terrible. And it's just like, I hate him. He sucks. Right. And he just blows games. He's so annoying. And so I honestly can definitely see him going to the bullpen as well. But yeah, I'm like, he's been awesome, man. And it has just been great to see that he's getting those innings. Acuna finally has a couple hits, has a couple doubles. He raised that OPS a little bit. Man, Acuna is like genuinely getting really, really unlucky. I'm like, he really has had some high exit velocities. I'm like, he has a 299 BABIP and a 494 expected slug. So I'm like, he has been hitting the ball really, really hard. I'm like, he got robbed in Philly by Brandon Marsh. I'm like, there have been a lot of opportunities for him to pile on the RBIs, and it just really hasn't been following for him. And as we know in baseball, eventually the ball starts finding grass. Eventually the ball will fly for him. So I am definitely not as worried about Acuna as I am about Riley. And to be honest, I feel like I can say that I'm not worried about Acuna. He is bringing a lot defensively. I think that this is actually the best he's looked defensively since 2023. And he's making a lot of really big plays out there, and he's taking a lot of really smart kind of routes to balls as well. So I feel pretty decent about Acuna. Obviously, we got the W 5-2. Fuentes comes in for 2 innings, and I just want to shout out Walt Weiss, man. Like he like Brian Snicker did not make the moves and did not do what Walt Weiss is currently doing. He would have not sent Lopez to the bullpen. He would have not had Didier come up and just pitch 2 innings while he was kind of only doing that 4 innings, in a start and go back down. You know what I mean? Like he is using his bullpen to his best of his ability, and it's winning us baseball games.
Yeah.
And I honestly, Snicker just didn't do this. And I honestly think it comes down to faith in your players and doing what it takes to win, not playing by the rules or some unwritten rule, or starters can't go to the bullpen, or you can't or
Yeah,
worrying about
he seems
guys'
a lot less
egos.
traditional than Snicker was.
Yeah,
From an
yeah,
outside looking in, like it felt like Snicker was always very by the book. I know him and Acuna had, their
absolutely.
issues.
Yeah,
But
I
it seems like
definitely,
Weiss
yeah.
just like is just so loved by the players right now.
Yeah, the players definitely love him. He's definitely done a lot to gain their trust. And I'm like, listen, clearly it's working. In game two was awesome, man. I'm like, Tarek Skubal did give up that early home run to Ozzy. And speaking of Ozzy Albies, man, he has not we have not seen this level of production of him since 2023. He has an almost 900 OPS, the best we've seen since that 2023 campaign where he ended with 849. And at this point, pitching to him when he's a lefty pitching to him is irresponsible at this point. I'm like, he is silencing the doubters in the Braves fandom that were worried about him in 2024 and 2025. He's looked amazing, and clearly he has turned a page. And this year is going to be, I really think, the best that we've seen him since that incredible 2023 season where literally everybody on in the Braves lineup was hitting. But
I
after
mean,
that home,
he could be in contention for most underrated player in baseball like every
yeah,
single year. I know he didn't have a great year 2024, and
2024
so
and 2025 were not super great. Like
but he
2025
showed
was
some
a little bit
flashes
better.
last year. Like at the end
Yeah,
of
yeah,
last year, he showed some flashes, and so if you can get production from him and Olsen and Michael Harris and Acuna, like that's a really hard lineup. And like you said, like if you're a lefty, just walk him.
just
He
walk him
crushes lefties. He
crushes
crushes them.
crushes lefties. And speaking of the lefty, Scooble did give up the 2-run home run, but then he kind of locked in, realized he's the best pitcher in baseball, and then he was the best pitcher in baseball.
Scary moment though. Scary moment. I thought
Yeah.
his arm. You called out the trainer. I mean, we'll see if that leads to anything. But
Yeah, it kind
hate
of
to see that.
it didn't really seem like anything serious. It seemed like he was fine, and he delivered, man.
Yeah.
And honestly, that Kyle Finnegan in the eighth, he looked locked down, and honestly, it kind of seemed like that was where the loss was going to come from, and that's not where the loss came from, man. Because Ozzy took the walk, and Kenley Jansen threw an absolute meatball. I'm like middle to Matt Olson, and he did not miss it. And that's actually Matt Olson's first walk off period for the Atlanta Braves. His first walk off since 2020 for
That's
the
crazy.
Athletics. I know that's a
That's
crazy
crazy.
stat.
Feels like
They were
he's been on the
saying,
Braves forever as well
I
at
know,
this
and
point.
he has, and it's obviously he's had a lot of clutch hits and a lot of big moments, but apparently he has not had a walk off yet. So congratulations to Matty O. That was really cool to see. And listen, another series win, man. I'm like, this ties the longest streak in franchise history. The last team to win 10 straight was the 83 Braves. And also, shout out the Boston Bean Eaters, of course, formerly, obviously
Oh,
part of
I
the
love the
franchise.
Bean Eaters,
Yeah, the Bean
dude.
Eaters, shout out, also won 10 straight series. It wasn't to the beginning of the year. This 1983 was when they did it to the beginning of the year. So I'm like, this is historical stuff that we've seen from the Braves right now. And, as we know, no team has won 162-0. They did lose today. And a lot of it is just coming off the fact, as I said, I'm not concerned about Acuna, but the person that I am concerned about is Austin Riley. Dude, like, I genuinely, like, I tweeted today on the Division Therapy. I was like, what does Austin Riley do for this baseball team other than catch routine pop-ups? Because he can't even make plays at third. I'm like, he let a huge ball get past him, which ended up losing us the game. And listen, I'm not trying to, sound like the sky is falling with Riley, but it has not been good. He went 1 for 21 on this homestand. He looks absolutely deflated. It seems like he would rather be on the golf course. Like, the guy has a 588 OPS.
Oh,
I know. I
oh,
saw that today, and I was
that's
just
brutal.
like,
Especially since he had a good week a couple weeks ago.
I know, and he was driving it in Philly, and I was like, okay, finally, here it is. No, it's not where it is. He's swinging at everything, and honestly, like, I saw someone on Twitter say, we might need to start treating him as a defensive specialist at this point, which he not even is, but it's like he might need to go further down. Unfortunately, we're paying him so much freaking money that it's like we can't send him down because you can't have that much money down in the minor leagues. But
Yeah.
it's really bad for
I
Riley.
did see on my X account that there was a video of him, and it was like 2 at bats, and some Braves fan was like, "We got to talk about this. Like, this is a problem." And when it gets to that level, because all my Twitter is just all Mets for the most part,
Yeah,
Mets
yeah.
and, like, very popular baseball media. But when I'm starting to get like Braves minutia analysis of Austin Riley, something's wrong. Something is wrong with Austin Riley.
Yeah. I definitely think there is, and I guess we'll have to see. Obviously, sometimes Colorado can help even the worst hitters and their worst slumps break out and hopefully gain some confidence. But I'm like 588 OPS. That's absolutely nuts.
That's awful.
Okay. But now let's get to the rest of the NL East. And honestly, other than the Braves, the pride of the NL East, the Miami Marlins, man, beat the Dodgers. How cool is that, Brett? I'm like, that's awesome.
It's pretty great. I will say, the only thing I will say is that Otani did not bat in the game that he pitched. And so that's a huge, I mean, they did the same thing with the Mets, and he shut out the Mets, which isn't saying a ton, but no, good for the Marlins. I mean, first game, Liam Hicks, 3-run homer. The guy is kind of just unstoppable.
The guy has found something. I don't know where this is coming from. I'm like, he's 13 for 15 in these 13 for 50 in these last games, man. I'm like, has a 143 WRC plus, ranked second in the National League with 27 RBIs for qualified catchers, man. I'm like, he is hitting the cover off the ball, and he also has a super great first name as well. So,
and
shout out to the fellow Williams.
Where did this come from, though? Because last year, it's not like the guy lit it up. He had a really 650 OPS. I mean, in the minors, he was pretty good, but he was not like this.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone kept talking about Agustin Ramirez as their big catcher prospect. I mean, neither of them are particularly good at the position of catcher. Probably more both you want to DH them, but you got to get his bat in the lineup somehow, Liam Hicks. I mean, even though they lost this game, it was Chris Paddock. It wasn't his fault.
At this point, this is a Chris Paddock hate podcast. I'm like,
I just want to see Robbie Snelling, dude. I just want to see Robbie Snelling. I just want to see Robbie Snelling.
Dude, Pete Fairbanks has a 10 ERA. man. And it's not like he's only had a couple appearances, man.
Yeah, but
Like
there was something wasn't right because after this game, he went on the IL. So there's something off
Yeah,
about him.
obviously
It was something
he's
with like his finger or something
yeah.
like that.
Is it like a blister? Might be a blister.
Yeah, he
Mhm.
said like a weird feeling. So they have Calvin Fauché and then Tyler Phillips who
Yeah.
are closing games. Tyler Phillips, weird guy, man. He's the one that slaps himself before stepping into the game. Like,
Oh, really? Oh, I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll have to show
okay.
you. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. But then, yeah, the second game, Jansen Junk. We talked about him last episode, I believe.
We did.
Quality
And
start.
yep, and apparently him and Otani are really good friends. I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, but apparently when Jansen had finished his final inning, when he turned to the bullpen and like Otani waved to him or like kind of like saluted him, and apparently when they were teammates on the Angels, because Junk was previously in Anaheim, apparently they were good friends because obviously Otani's a pitcher and obviously would provide a lot of really great wisdom and a lot of great kind of just knowledge to these pitchers. And apparently him and Junk were good friends, and so he kind of saluted him and congratulated him on a
That's
good
pretty
start.
cool.
So
That's pretty cool.
that was cool to see. I'm like, Otani, you can hate him, you can love him, whatever. He's a real stand-up guy, a real kind of clearly an awesome teammate, and that was cool. It was cool to see. So, but yeah, I'm like 6 scoreless innings from the guy, and clearly he means a lot to this Marlins team. Stowers drove in the game deciding run. Like it was a 2-1 win, man. I'm like it was nothing. It was nothing crazy, but they got it done. And Lopez, shout out Otto Lopez, had his 10th multi-hit game. He's batting 364 in his last 5 and has tallied 8 hits in his 9 career games against the Dodgers. So clearly he loves playing in LA. So he definitely has produced a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're starting to turn a corner right now, the
Mhm.
Marlins.
Yeah.
We've kind of said it all throughout the season. They have some guys.
Yeah, they
Liam
do.
Hicks,
100%.
You got Liam Hicks, Lopez, Xavier Edwards, Augustine Ramirez, who really hasn't done anything. You
Yeah.
got Stowers, you got Marcy, and then yeah, you have some pitchers that have been a little underwhelming so far. Your young guys and Yuri Perez. Sandy, has taken maybe a little bit of a step back, but you have Snelling in the
But
minors.
he's still through
who's like,
6. He's
yeah,
still through 6 in game 3, man. I'm like,
yeah,
you can count on him to get innings.
he's
For
he's
sure.
a quality start machine. Like even
Yeah,
when he doesn't have it, he can still he can power through. That's what a really
absolutely.
great pitcher does. I don't
Absolutely.
think I think the K per 9 rate is a little low for what you want it to be.
Yeah.
And if he gets that up a little bit, like he could be a top 10 pitcher in baseball. I truly, truly believe that. Yeah,
And
and
like,
then
obviously, that's not, I don't think it's crazy to say that Sandy Alcantara, when he's his best, is a top 10 player in baseball. But
oh yeah,
I think current Sandy, where he's looking and in this Marlins team, I think that he's always kind of felt that pressure. You know what I mean? And I honestly think being the Marlins right now, I think the Marlins really realize that they have an opportunity here. Like
they do.
this is a real opportunity that
Yeah.
if they consistently at least are winning a series here and there or getting some good wins, I'm like the wild card is not a crazy statement for
No,
Miami.
and they were a wild card team just a few years ago.
Yeah, yeah. So
And then they kind
yeah,
of took a step backwards, but I think they have the potential to, certainly, especially with a weak NL East right now. I mean, it's not like the Phillies are really contending, although they did just sweep the San Francisco Giants. We'll get into that right away.
They did. They
Yep.
did. The game just ended. So obviously, kind of exciting stuff for the
Yeah,
Phillies, and then
let's
back-to-back walk-offs.
let's kick it off with the first game.
Yeah,
Jesus Luzardo, he is so up and down,
he really is.
but the
Man.
underlying stats love him.
Truly,
They really
truly.
do. Even when his ERA was 8 or something like that. Like
Statcast, darling. That's for
yeah, he totally
Yeah.
is. And in this start, 7 scoreless, 8 strikeouts. You were bound to see some positive regression with all those underlying stats being so good, and it's nice
Yeah.
to see that he's gotten there because talk about a pitcher who could be a top 10 pitcher when he has it. I mean, there were a few starts last year where it was like a few starts in a row where it was like 7 innings, 10 strikeouts, 1 walk. And if you could do that, with Christopher Sanchez, I mean that's pretty hard to beat in a playoff series if they get there. We're jumping the gun a little bit.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
nowhere near it right
I don't
now.
think I don't
We're
think the
nowhere near it.
Phillies are gonna be playing playoff
But yeah,
baseball.
this was their first game with a new manager?
Yep, Don Mattingly, bench coach. Going up to manager. Obviously, Thompson was fired this week, and I think that it seemed like the Philly fandom was kind of torn about this. I'm like, obviously, I think there's a lot of fans that really did like Rob Thompson. I'm like, obviously, they did have recent playoff success. Obviously, they didn't win the World Series. We
Mm,
obviously know that they can't come through when it really matters.
yeah.
But I'm like, I do think that there was a lot of the Philly fandom that liked Rob Thompson. But I honestly think, and I said it in my TikTok, I honestly think that he had completely lost the locker room. I don't think the players really trusted him. I don't really know what the direction here is. Dave Dombrowski.
I think it'll be Mattingly for a year, and
Okay.
then they'll probably get Cora if he wants the job. We got to mention real quick though, Don Mattingly's boss
Yeah.
is now his son, Preston Mattingly. Like, so funny.
Oh,
Preston,
that's right.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we've never
That's
seen
funny.
that. The son,
That is
more
crazy,
likely the
man.
scenario would be like the son as the manager,
Yeah.
maybe, and the GM as the dad. So it's just a pretty funny thing. And when asked about it, he was like, I think this is the best relationship I've ever had with the GM. Kind of tongue in cheek. But I mean, listen, they both want to win baseball games, so
Yeah.
it should work out. But I wonder if it's like similar to like LeBron and Bronny being on the same team. Like, I know like he's kind of a full grown adult, Preston, but like, do they
Yeah.
carpool to work? Like, do they talk about work when they have like Thanksgiving? Like, those are the things that I'm curious about.
I
Um,
honestly think, with work relationships like this, like I definitely think there's a possibility that they try not to talk about work. I'm sure
I'm
Mrs.
sure.
Mrs.
I'm sure.
Mattingly prefers to keep other topics, but I'm sure they can. I actually don't know if Don Mattingly's married or not. I'm sure he is, but I'm sure that they try to keep it off. But
It's fun.
yeah, absolutely. And listen, in that first game, a big offensive outburst, a 7-0 win. Harper and Garcia, driving some runs. Hey, listen, even Alec Boehm, the bum of baseball, I'm really sorry about all your personal stuff. I don't want to be too mean, but the guy couldn't
He's
hit a
going
baseball.
through it right now.
Yeah,
He's going
couldn't
through
go,
it.
but he got an RBI too, man. So it's everyone has to get an RBI every once in a while, and with the new manager, new day, clearly, it's
Help
kind of
them.
had that little shot in the butt, and it worked out in this series. I'm like, I do think that new managers, that honeymoon period, especially when it's an interim manager, they don't last forever, but clearly they lasted at least 3 games. But yeah, in that second game, obviously the game was rained out, so they had a double header today, and it was a walk-off win, a great back half of the series. Great back half of the series for Justin Crawford. Definitely a really great kind of call up, and obviously he's definitely struggled and it's not been super great, but I'm like, it's good to see young prospects like this obviously coming up in clutch moments and
I
getting
s-
important
yeah.
hits. So
I saw a cool stat about Justin Crawford, and it
yeah.
was that when he had a walk off, Don Mattingly was his manager, and then separate date, Carl Crawford, his dad,
Yep.
who
Hmm.
I loved as a kid. I loved
Yep.
Carl Crawford, even when he was on the Phillies. I loved Carl Crawford.
Hmm.
Mattingly was also his manager then, so pretty cool for the Crawfords and the Mattingleys of the
Yeah.
world.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Schwarber went off in this second game.
Yeah, hit his 350th home run.
Yeah,
He actually passed another Phillies legend, Dick Allen. I think he's like almost like 100th all timer, getting close to that. So I'm like 350 home runs. That's a lot of home runs, and Schwarber loves hitting them. So that was definitely cool to see. And Christopher Sanchez once again, almost 7 innings, 7 strikeouts. I'm like, he is
it's
probably
automatic for him right
yeah
now.
the most
It's just automatic.
consistent But I'm like, I think we expected that. We weren't not expecting him to be the ace,
Hmm.
but we were definitely expecting them to win more of his games. But unfortunately, he can't pitch 9 innings every single game. I'm like, eventually he
No,
does
he
have to
can't,
come
but
out.
he is one of those pitchers that longevity is the name of the game for him. He's kind of like Sandy in that way, where it's like you can pencil him in for about 7 innings every start
Yeah,
and feel good about it. And then, yeah, game three, second game of the doubleheader, back and forth game between the Giants and the Phillies. And the
yep.
Phillies ended up walking it off with your buddy, Alec Boehm, walk-off sac fly. Good for Alec Boehm.
Yeah, I'm sure that felt good. Yeah,
Huge game for Schwarber, 4 for 4 with another home run. The guy just he loves hitting in Philadelphia. There
he
was never
really
any
does.
shot in the offseason that he was going anywhere else. As bad
Anywhere
as I
else.
wanted him for the Mets, there was no
It
chance.
wasn't. Yeah,
And so, good for the Phillies. Big big sweep. You needed it if you were the Phillies.
absolutely.
You can't keep losing, and so good for Mattingly. They got Miami coming up next, so maybe a tough test. I didn't think we'd be saying that, but and then lastly, the people that beat the New York Mets, the Washington Nationals. First game, obviously, was total wash for the Nationals. Nothing really to kind of dwell on that we haven't dwelled on already. But then
Right.
second game, Cade Cavalli. This
Yeah,
guy's a stud.
he really is.
He looks really good, and he looked really good against your team, and now he's
He
looked
did.
really good against my team.
Yep.
10 strikeouts in back-to-back starts is incredible.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
24 consecutive strikes. I mean, that is like Greg Maddux like, and that's the first time that a Nats pitcher has gone back-to-back with strikeouts since Scherzer in 2020. So it's been a long time coming. So
Damn.
yeah, Cavalli
Yeah.
might be the real deal. They have a lot of potential. Honestly, like it's really cool to see like these young guys. You look at the Nationals and you think, okay, another rebuilding year, but it's like these guys are kind of putting it together a little bit. Their young guys are kind of coming into their own. You got James Wood, Abrams, Brady House, Cavalli, and then you got Dylan Cruz in the minors. So it's really cool. Brady House, as I talked about, first career grand slam in that absolute rout of the Mets, 14-2. So that was pretty cool. And then, yeah, C.J. Abrams just crushed the hearts of all Mets
Yeah, the
fans today
heartbreaker.
with
Yeah.
that 2-run homer, and he knew it as well. It was such like he pimped the crap out of that home run. Like he hit it, and it was gone, and he knew it. And so, yeah, good defense. I mean, it's crazy what good defense and timely hitting can do for a team, because you see the difference. Like, I was watching those games and I was like, man, this is a winning ball club, and I'm not talking about the Mets. Like, the Nationals just have better fundamentals right now. Their defense is better. They're playing smart baseball. They have a lot of speed, which makes it really tough. Like Nasim Nunez, he was on first base. I knew on the second pitch that he would be on second base, and he was on
Yep.
second base on the first pitch. So it's like
Yep.
these guys, they have some pieces, and so they take on Milwaukee next. We'll see how that ends up for them, because that's a really good team. They won't face Brandon Woodruff, who's probably going on the IL. After his velocity was down 8 miles per hour today on his
Yeah,
fastball.
jeez.
So
Yeah,
it was
that
really
was really
crazy.
bad,
Yeah, but good series win for the Nats. Unfortunately, it had to come at the hand of the Mets losing, but it is what it is at this point. Which brings us right to our temperature check.
Yeah.
Checking the
And
temperature.
it was 10 and now it's 0. Are you giving up?
Yep, panic level is 0
Okay.
for me.
Okay. Mhm.
No panic. What's there to panic about? They're in free fall. There's no panic. Like, I watched the games fully expecting that they're gonna lose.
Yeah.
Like, I have no inkling that they're going to win this baseball game. So there is no panic, because it's the same thing every night.
Yeah.
If I were an opposing pitcher, I wouldn't pitch to Juan Soto.
Yeah.
I would face anybody else in that lineup than Juan Soto.
Yeah.
And I know, if I'm the other team, that if I can have their starter go 5 innings, that their bullpen's going to collapse in 4.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's no panic. there's zero panic because I don't think that there is much to be hopeful about. Because with tears in my eyes, the season might be over. It's entirely possible that the season is over, and they made a trade today. They picked
They
up
did.
Andy Ibanez from the A's, who was DFA'd last week.
Hmm.
So we'll see. We'll see if that does anything for them. I really don't think it will, just because this guy's WRC is like a 93 or something like that. Like
Yeah.
it's rough. He plays all over the field like a totally typical David Stearns guy.
Yeah.
And those just haven't worked out so far. So
Yeah. He's definitely not Mauricio Dubon.
he's not
That's
Mauricio
he's,
Dubon. He is not. And I saw John Heyman say that they were shopping for a big bat. I'm not sure that
and you,
Ibanez qualifies. I really hope not. I don't even know what that big bat would be. Like,
uh,
I honestly
and they
don't.
shouldn't. Respectively, they shouldn't be. There shouldn't be any shopping going on right
I
now.
mean,
I'm
listen,
like,
if they want to trade me Yordan Alvarez, like, sure, sure, that'd be
yeah,
great.
I
But
don't
I
know.
don't think they
Yeah,
will. Or
yeah,
if like Murakami becomes available, once again, I don't think he will. Like,
yeah.
I just think that why would you go out for a big bat? Like, you were just trying to save face and say you made an effort to save the season, when in reality the season is potentially already over, and that could totally change. I mean, they have the Angels coming up, and they have the Rockies coming up, and they have the Diamondbacks coming up. And so, maybe they go on a West Coast winning streak. Unlikely, because they had a really great opportunity at home to do that.
Yeah.
And they just, completely fell on their faces. So there's no, there's no optimism for them winning anything right now. So, yeah, with that being said, panic level is at a 0.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm like, mine is also at a 0, and but it's not because I don't give up. It's just because we're really good, man. I'm like, it's just everything is clicking, everything is going right. I texted my brother-in-law. Yeah, I think it was yesterday, and I really did not expect us to be this good, and we have been this good, and it's not who we're facing. We're facing good teams, we're facing good pitchers, and we're having success, and we're winning baseball games. So this was a great April. And I do think that even if there's a little bit of a regression, if we still continue to win a couple games here and there, we still haven't lost a series. So eventually we will. But if we just continue going on like this, I'm like, it's going to be really, really difficult to catch us. So we'll definitely see. But listen, let's go to our quickly for our player of the series. And I'm like, I feel like I'm pretty confident who you're going to say, but I'll let you take it away. Who's your player of the series, Brian?
Yeah, I've been pretty reluctant to choose a player of the series the last couple of episodes just because of how awful the Mets have been playing. But I cannot ignore Juan Soto.
Yeah.
Huge series from Juan Soto. Hit safely in all 3 games. He finished the series 6 for 12 with 2 home runs and 3 RBIs, and he had a home run robbed. So it really should have been 3 home runs. I mean, he has just been a total spark in this
And
lineup.
he's doing his best, man.
He's doing his best. He's doing his best,
Yeah.
and he loves playing against the Nationals. All time, the team that drafted him, the team that he started with, he hits .325 with 9 home runs, 20 RBIs, and 28 runs in 32 games. Like, that is crazy. And so he went absolutely nuts this series. Unfortunately, it only led to 1 win, but I have to tip my cap to Juan Soto because he has just been such a stud. And the question I ask you, Liam, is how bad has a team been where the player has won MVP? Just saying. I know he's been out. I know he's been out for a few weeks, but if he has 1,000, 1050, 1100 OPS on the season, like if the Mets win 60 games, do you still give him MVP?
I'm like, I think that James Wood is more likely to win the MVP currently than
Yes,
Juan
currently,
Soto.
yes,
I'm like, he's
currently.
definitely played a little more. Yeah, man. I'm like, if he stays consistent and stays healthy, it's not. out of reason for him to potentially win it. But as we know, I will say that MVPs usually come from ball clubs that at least make the playoffs. I'm like, it is pretty consistent. I'm like, they do like to see players that are having success and leading to team success. You know what I mean? So, but listen, completely a possibility if he
Right?
does hit 40 or 50 home runs and has a good average and is doing genuinely doing his best. But I definitely think we'll see. I'm like, it's obviously happened multiple times before. The Giants weren't always good when Bonds won his MVPs. You know what I mean? But obviously that was Barry Bonds. Now for my players of the series, I'm like Albies and Olsen are going to share these honors. I talked
Oh,
about
come
I
on. Come
listen.
on. Make a decision. Make
No,
a
I can't. I
choice.
can't make a decision. All that Olsen home run was great. Listen, Albies has just been awesome. I talked about it extensively, and that Olsen walk off was great. I'm like, yes, if I were to pick one, it would be Albies, but that Olsen
Really?
walk off was yeah,
I was gonna say Olsen.
yeah. But that walk off, I'm like, that
That's a
led
that's
to
a that's a loss that turned into a win.
yeah. I just
Oh wow.
have had a lot of fun
Wow.
watching Albies. Okay, so let's do a quick. I'm like we've talked about it. We're both going on a big West Coast swing. I'm like the first game is going to be Colorado, and then we're going to Seattle as well. It's going to be super exciting. It does look like J.R. Ritchie is going to be starting in Seattle. So that's going to be a homecoming for him. That's where he's from.
Mm.
So that's super exciting for him. But for this Rocky series, we got Holmes against Quintana, Sale. It's TBD. I didn't recently check. I don't know if they've. And then finally, Spencer Strider in game 3 is going to have his first start of the year. We're going to see where that fastball velocity is at. We're going to see where that curveball is at. We're going to see where he's at, period. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, it's coming in Colorado, which is honestly kind of a terrible place to have your
It's
first start
yeah.
of the year. But
It's
I
funny because I was thinking about it and it's like no matter what he does, you kind of just have to throw it away.
yeah,
Like he could be
honestly,
great and you throw it away because the Rockies suck, or he's awful and you throw it away because it's at Coors Field.
yeah, yeah.
So, what are you looking for though when you see Strider on the mound on Sunday? Are you looking for fastball velocity to
Fastball
be
velocity
that's the big one?
above anything. Like as we know, that is Spencer Strider's calling card.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for 96, 97. I'm like that is where I think it needs to be at least for Spencer to have success to kind of work off of that off speed as well. Anything lower, I'm definitely going to have some concerns, but we'll see. It's if anything, the Rockies suck, and it's going to be an awesome opportunity. I'm like suck for most of us, right? But so we'll see. But I'm excited to see him back finally, and we're slowly getting to this rotation that we were expecting in the off season. So we will see. But obviously with this point and looking at this team, I'm expecting a sweep. Obviously, it would be
Listen,
fine.
don't underestimate those Rockies. They gave my Mets a really hard time.
Well,
So,
our teams have had some
are a bit different right
differing
now, yeah.
differing offensive success.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Mets are taking on the Angels, also going on the West Coast, as Liam said. We got Christian Scott against Walbert
yep.
Urania. I think that's how you, I think I got it.
I don't think you did.
Christian Scott, he was awful the first time that he came up, and then they sent him down, and now he's back.
Yeah,
And then Saturday is your best chance to win a game. You have Nolan McLean going on the mound against Reed Detmers, who has been up and down. He's had a couple of good starts here and there, but your best opportunity to win is on Saturday. And if they can't, it's just like
yeah.
unbelievable. And then Sunday you got Clay Holmes against Jack Kashanowitz. And so again, another good chance to win. Clay Holmes sub 2 ERA, 1.75 is pretty freaking good. I'm not expecting anything for the Mets, honestly. They're heading west. They don't have an off day in between. They just, they finished up their game today in around like through 3:30, 4 p.m. And then they were on a flight to LA. So I'm not expecting them to win tomorrow because, they never really do well when the schedule's like that. But honestly, the thing that I'm excited for is to watch Mike Trout play baseball.
Yep.
He's had
Yeah.
an unreal season. His OPS is like 1,000, I believe. And
Yeah,
so,
something like that. Pretty close to it.
I don't watch a ton of Mike Trout baseball just because it's tough to watch those games on the West Coast every night. But
Yep.
he has been absolutely tearing it up. He tore it up in the Bronx a couple weeks ago. And so I'm excited. The big question for me is, will they have a new manager come tomorrow? I don't know.
I don't know.
They could.
We'll
They
see.
could.
The last thing that I will leave us with, and I saw this on John Boy Media today. Question I'm gonna leave you with: the MLB logo, right? Is the batter on the MLB logo a lefty
I gotta
or
look
a
at it.
righty?
I gotta look at it.
You gotta look at it. You gotta look at it because I'm convinced that it's a lefty. I think it's a lefty. And
Switch
there's a
hitter.
lot of-
Switch hitter. Final answer. I'll go with the lefty. It looks
You'll
like a
go with the
lefty. Yeah, it looks like a
lefty.
lefty.
Okay.
What was the consensus? Did anyone?
A lot of people thought it was a righty because it was
Yeah.
like the ball kind of coming this way, but I
Yeah.
don't know. But
Let us know. Let us know.
Let us know what you think. Obviously, the really important things to discuss and talk about. But this was episode 9 of Division Therapy. Thanks for joining. Follow us on all socials, and pray for Bret.
Pray for me, please. Please pray for me. Peace,
All right,
guys.
Good night.